Okay, guys, good morning and welcome everybody to this exciting webinar sharing of our new Magic XPA version 4, where we're going to introduce our new web application framework. We're all very excited here at Magic to share with you our latest version and our latest development of the new Magic deliveries. So I have here with me Oded Lavi, which is going to act, some of you maybe know him from the past, but he's going to be our head of delivery regarding everything that has to do with this new web technology. And you guys are going to face him in a lot of scenarios in the field. I'm very excited to have him as part of the team. And myself, Yuval Lavi, VP of Technology and Innovation in Magic, and leading this offering of the new web technology. What we're going to do this morning, we're going to have a little bit overlook of our solution, the idea behind it and the vision going forward with it. We'll see a nice demo of the application, and hopefully if God's of demo will allow it, it will work with no problems. We'll talk a little bit about the migration path and about our business model, some of the training, and we'll leave a nice part of the time for Q&A. Regarding Q&A, if you have questions during the session, please write them as they come to your mind, and we will answer them in the Q&A part. Okay, you can start writing the question from now until we get to the Q&A part. So the stars are all aligned. Okay, we are very excited that actually technology world, the philosophy of web development and everything is coming to a straight line to enable the Magic vision with the way we think and we see web development should be, and what we can do today. We have the power of JavaScript, CSS, HTML5, Angular, TypeScript, cloud development, and speed of internet. Everything now support our vision of ease and fast development in the world of the web. We see that if we take Magic and combine it with Angular, we get unlimited opportunities and functionalities, and really it's exciting. It's a new offering that takes all that we as magician and you guys probably love in the Magic environment, and we can develop it now to the web. Just a quick reminder of the past. Yeah, we did try in the past a lot of things to develop in the web. If you guys remember, like something 20 years ago, we had Magic Web Online, which was a nice idea, but technology back then did not support this philosophy, which is the single page application philosophy of today. We tried it with the Magic browser client. Again, the idea was great. Deliverable at the end of the day didn't succeed. We had issues with technology. Now, as I said, stars are all aligned, and we can deliver what we think is the best way of developing for the web. When we set up for this version 4, what did we have in mind? First and foremost, we have native web application, and this one bullet says a lot. Okay, we are going to be a natively web application. We are not going to have plugins, add-ons, something special. We are going to be a standard Angular web application. We're going to enhance and give you extra functionality, but we are not going to limit you in any way. Okay, and this is a very important statement. Anything that you can do today with an Angular development, you can do with Magic. The idea is, can you do it even better with Magic? And in a lot of places, you'll see that you can. We're standing in front line with everybody else. Okay, we're not catching up or anything like that. We're really jumping to the front of the line and working with the latest and greatest technology of the web. You can do, as I said, anything that you know today in the web will be supported, and you can do it in Magic Web Angular project. We're going to deliver responsive functionality. Again, this is something that we get from the web technology, from the Angular, but you can develop for mobile, and you can develop for tablets, and you can develop for the desktop. And you can see that, again, you can do anything that you would expect today to do in a standard web application. Another thing that we made a decision, we're going to have agile release cycles. That means that we are going to release service pack, especially for the new client, very, very fast. And when I say fast, it's going to be something on an average of every 2 weeks, okay? As opposed to what we remember in previous version, we release something like every quarter. Now we're going to release every 2 weeks the client. Server side studio, it might be longer, but again, we're going to shorten the release time even there for fixes. It's coming soon. It's actually going to be on our download tonight, or the end of the day, our time, Israel time. But we're going to release this version, and you can download it from tomorrow. Those of you that are under subscription and maintenance, you can download it from our download site and can start playing with it. We are embedded in the installation free trial of the server and the client for this month until the end of August. But the idea is that those of you, again, that under maintenance, you can start pulling licenses in the next week or two from your local representative, and you can get the licenses for version 4. Now, as opposed to previous version, when we release a major version, we actually stop introducing new features to the previous version, and we only do bug fixes in the previous version. This would not be the case in version 4. Version 4 is going to be focused on the web client, and we're going to keep version 3. At the moment it's 3.3, we're going to keep it alive. That means that enhancement, new feature, and obviously bug fixes will be in version 3 as well as in version 4. Now, if one of you would like to have no interest, in version 4 as far as web client, you have no reason to jump to version 4. It probably will be even better for you to stay in version 3, because the release cycles of version 3 will be based on client server functionality and RIA functionality that you guys need, and the release cycles of version 4 will be focused on the needs of the web client. So if you don't have any need for web development, you should stick for now with version 3, just from the release cycle concept. Of course, you can download, you can play with version 4, but there is no reason to take production environment into version 4 unless you are looking to the web client. Now, what do we offer with the web client and with our new offering in the new web application framework? We are living in a world that is looking for digital transformation. And when we say digital transformation, we don't mean that the business is going digital. We mean that the user experience is going digital. Okay, if I'm talking about my bank, for example, the fact that my bank is working with computer for the last 50 years, there is no digital transformation. But the fact that I can do everything almost that I need to do with my bank via my mobile phone, this is digital transformation. And we, as Magic, are looking to provide you, our customers, the option to deliver your customer the digital experience. Okay, so this is the idea. This is what we want to enable you guys to allow your customers to go digital. Now, when we thought about where we're going to the future, what will be the future of Magic, and we all know that this question is coming up time and time, again and again, and we need to think about it. So in one place, we thought, whoa, .NET sounds like the native process. We see a lot of customer, unfortunately, that left us towards the .NET technology, and we all know that the power of .NET and everything, and we thought this is the natural way to go towards the .NET. But then we say, hey, before we run to the .NET methodology, let's see what else there is there. And we looked at the world of JavaScript, TypeScript, Angular, Node.js, and we said, whoa, it's a full new world there that we haven't known before. And when we start to do investigation, and we look, for instance, on the NuGet repository of .NET, where it contains something like 110,000 packages, and we looked at the equivalent, which is the NPM repository for JavaScript, Node.js, and Angular, etc., there is over 700,000 packages there. We looked at the download over the last 10 years from NuGet. You have something like 8 billion downloads. On an average monthly, you have 20 billion downloads in NPM. Yeah, it might be a little bit tricky with the number, but the idea is just the same. We see that the world of Angular and JavaScript is really for running much faster than the world of .NET. This platform is giving us cross-platform development, speed of development, performance, productivity. The choice was quite clear for us. We are going to go to this new world. We did another quick investigation in the Stack Overflow repository on the website, and we looked at the analytics there, and we see that the trends of questions around .NET technology and C# is going down, and the trends of Node.js, Angular, and TypeScript are going dramatically up. We realized that this is really the new world. Most of the new application, I think it's like 95% of new applications that are developed in this area is being developed by Angular, Node.js, JavaScript, etc. I don't think there is almost any major new application that is being developed on the standard .NET C# development. So we decided Angular, and then we decided that we need to know what is Angular. Angular is actually addressing the problem that all of us tried to address before, even us Magic, with some success regarding the mobile deployment. The idea of developing once and deploying, everywhere. Yeah, I want to be able to deploy on all the different devices that are there, and I don't want to think about it when I code my application. And this is actually what Angular Framework is giving us. The ability to run on any modern browser, on any device, if it's a tablet, if it's a mobile device, if it's a desktop, we can even run in a WinForm format. Okay, it doesn't have to be a browser-based application, but it will still be a JavaScript-based application. Another thing that we learned is something that's called single-page application. What is a single-page application? The single-page application came a few years to the world in giving the user a smooth and nice experience when he works in the web application, in the browser. There is no more refreshing of the page, so going to the server, getting back an answer, etc. The idea that with a single-page application, my client is doing a request to the HTTP server, receiving back an HTML file, which is the one and only time that I'll get an HTML file from the server, and then everything is being orchestrated on the client. This is the power, again, of JavaScript, and this is where Angular is coming into place. When we take this code and start building the application on the fly on the client and communicating with the server only for data, typically with a JSON format, doing calls, putting data, fetching data, bringing it back to the client, and re-render the screen and our website. Okay, so there is no refresh of the screen, and this way I can only go with subsets of my screen, etc., etc. With the HTML5 technology, we can even work on a local storage, where in our first version, we are not supporting working with local storage, although you can do it as a standard HTML, as I mentioned. But our engine, in the extra features, we are not working with local storage for the first version. Now, a little bit about the history of the web and what happened and where we're going. When we started to develop web application or website, 1,000 line of code of a website was considered to be a nice web site and a big one. But slowly, we started to add functionality. We had applets, we had Ajax, and we had different things that make our application much more complicated. And then we went to single-page application and web app and composite web app. And slowly see the number of lines of code are growing dramatically. A few years ago, Microsoft came up with TypeScript. Now, this is a nice story, because why did they invented TypeScript? Actually, the team that invented TypeScript is the team that worked or is still working on the Visual Code IDE of Microsoft. They develop a new IDE, which is JavaScript. And they realize that 70% of their time they invest on just understanding what they wrote. Okay? And this is something that they said, this is not scalable. We cannot maintain a big scale application where we every minute just need to really go back and understand what we're doing. So they invented the TypeScript, which is a type-safe language or way of writing JavaScript. By the way, the person that invented that is the same person that invented the C# language. And then we see frameworks that are coming into the world, like Angular, like React, like Vue. And the purpose of everything here is to actually be able to maintain large-scale application in the world of JavaScript. And when we say large scale, we say 1 million lines of code, 2 million lines of code, okay? And hey guys, this is our philosophy. The philosophy of Magic all over the years, from 35 years ago until today, was, hey, let's make life simple. How can we maintain, develop, and deliver large-scale application with minimum effort and in a maintainable manner? So we feel that we have a good opportunity to actually bring something new to the market, something that is really missing and the market is looking for. Now, we look at our deployment architecture. What we did, we actually took our existing deployment of NTL technology, which is our RIA-based and mobile-based deployment, where we have client that is communicating with the web server, that is going to the in-memory data grid, that is communicating with the Magic Engine, that is going to the database, and bringing all the information back to the client. Nowadays, what we bring is our new client, which is based on Angular and JavaScript. That means the major difference that there is no pre-installation of the client on this device. Again, I'll keep saying it, it's a standard Angular application. We have just a set of super JavaScript that represent our technology. They are coming down like any JavaScript to the client, and it's working. Any new browser that support Angular, our Magic application will work there as well. So this is, again, amazing and huge change from our point of view. In order to support this technology, what did we do? In our Magic Studio, we needed to add a new task type with the name of Web Client. Now, this task type is under the same methodology and concept of RIA. Okay, that means that anything that you guys know from RIA will come into effect in this environment. No physical locking, no physical transaction, no record made compatible layer, etc. Okay, so it is behaving very similar to RIA. In some places, enhancement. In some places, we cannot support things that we do in RIA. Another thing that is very important that we made a decision early in the process, all the UX and UI at the moment is going to be done externally to the Magic Studio. You're going to use an IDE that is standard for the web. You can do it as a web developer, okay? But we're not going to put at the moment a WYSIWYG in the Magic Studio, okay? Bigger company than us, stronger, much more with bigger budget, tried and failed. Okay, you can see Visual Studio today do not give you WYSIWYG inside the studio. Okay, and a lot of other tools try and really fail. There is a standard way of developing to the web, and we are adopting ourselves to this standard. The form designer of Magic, okay, will be relevant for what we call data binding and event binding and control declaration. But how it looks will be outside of the Magic Studio. And then we added another layer, which is the Magic Converter. The Magic Converter responsibility is actually to take the metadata of the Magic screen or the screen definition and generate an Angular project and Angular component from each screen. This tool has one purpose at the moment, and the main purpose is to allow you, Magic developer, to press a button, generate an Angular project, and do all the functional testing of the application. That means that when we generate, we can test everything in our project. I don't expect any of you guys to auto-generate a project from the studio and take it to production. Just as I don't expect any of you to do a Control-G on a table and put it as a program accessible for an end user. Okay. On top of that, once we have the Angular project, the web designer part will come into place, and then start doing the design. It can be minimum, it can be 10 times more time than the Magic functionality development. Again, I think all of you knows that in design, the sky is the limit. The important part about the Magic Converter is the fact that it can be extendable. Okay, we wrote it outside of the studio with a set of template tools that you can take and customize to do it to be your own. That means that when we generate, for instance, a date control, we generate it in one format. If you decide that you want to work with a different date control, you can already implement it in the converter tool, and from that moment, anytime that you'll generate a date control, it will generate it with your package, with your standards, and everything else. This will give you guys a lot of power to customize your code and to share code between you guys as well. Now, what did we do in our client side? If I'm looking at my Magic server that there is communication over the internet, I have my client that is running inside the browser. Now, this client is built today from 3 layers. So the client code that is running in the browser has 3 layers. The underlying layer is our generic JavaScript engine, that it's fully JavaScript, has nothing to do with Angular. The idea to separate between the engine and the Angular API is with the concept that in the future we will support other frameworks like React, like Vue, or any common framework that will come into the market that will give different functionality. So we decouple between the API of the framework and the JavaScript set that is running on the browser. On top of that, as I mentioned, we have the Angular API, and on top of the Angular API, we have the Angular component, which is already representing your code. That means that all of our customers will run the same Angular API and the same engine inside the browser, but the components, the HTML, CSS, and TypeScript of each project, this will be your own code, and this is also the code that you can customize, you can change. It's not that you can, you must. Okay, you must take it and make it beautiful for the web. Really, the idea is to build an amazing look and feel application that looks that are not even look, that are pure browser application, fully responsive, drill down, one-to-many, anything that you know and loves to do in the Magic client server or RIA, you can do in the web and put your own design on top of it. So, as much as we like PowerPoint, I think it's about time that we'll see some demo from the code. So first thing, let's look on our screen here and see that my application is actually working. So let's refresh the screen, see that I get the information, and what do you know, it is working. And if I'll go and try and see if it's responsive, I can even see that my screen now, okay, is fully responsive, okay? And the application is working regardless of the size of the screen, and I can do whatever I want with it, and it will still work beautifully. Again, based on the definition that the designer put for the different screen size or resolution. I can come here to click, go to edit, get the one-to-many, drill down and look at the different information that I can see. I can click again and go to my packages, okay? Can go into the different records, and everything will work just as we expect in any standard Magic application. Now, let's see what we have to do in order to get this application. So first, let's have a look at our Magic code. This is my Magic application, and I can see that I have 3 folders in my application. I have my travel folder, which contains the travel main form. And this travel main form is actually the one that responsible for the layout of the application. I have some data view, I have some logic, and I have my form. Now, if I go into my form, I can see some information on my form, but as I mentioned, how it looks, it's not really relevant. What is more relevant is actually the document's outline that can explain to me the hierarchy between the controls. So I see that I have a subform with the name of main canvas, and I have a group control with a set of buttons, hyperlink buttons, and an image, and I have a text here. Now, my image has the name, the control name of main home. My B packages button is doing a raise event of user event packages. Now, let's go and see what I have in the Angular project in order to get this nice application. This is my Angular application. I'll just do a little bit zoom in so we can see what we have. A standard Angular application looks like this. Okay, I have my source folder and some supporting file. With the main one is the package.json and the Angular JSON. And we're not going to go under Angular structure at the moment or Angular tutorial, but as you can see, this is a very standard Angular application, those of you who knows Angular. Inside, I have my app, and inside my app, I have my magic folder. Under the magic folder, everything will come into place. I can see this inside the magic folder. I have the same folders that I have in my magic application. I have another two files that give me the support for magic. And then if I go to my travel, I see my program travel main form. And in my travel main form, I see all the things that create this component. Then I have my TS file, that in my TS file, I actually say, hey, you are connected to magic by the base magic component. And then I have my HTML. Now, if I go into my HTML, and let's hide this one. Okay, I can start seeing what I have there. I have my background image that is showing me those beautiful mountains here in the back. Okay, and then I have my main menu. This is a class that the designer decided to put for the main menu, which is this top block here. Okay, and then I'm connecting it to the magic group, okay, or the magic group control by this name of the menu group. But the more important part, for instance, would be my image. I have my magic icon here, and this one is coming from the image that is connected to a magic directive under the main home. If I look at the magic code, I'll see that I have this image under the name of control name of main home. And then if I'll go again, I'll see that the source for this image is mg get item main home. Okay, this will actually bring me the value of this picture as magic define it. And as you know, I can define it in a lot of different ways. In this matter, I put it as an expression. Okay, so now if I'll bring it to our screen, okay, I see that this one is actually coming from the trim of and blah, 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 and all this definition. But at the end of the day, in my Angular code, this is all I need. Get me the image that using this control name. Now, if we're talking about the image, let's see another nice thing. I can go here and dive into my sub-screen. But if I click on the image, I'm going back to my travel cards. Now, this I'm going to do in Magic as a standard Magic developer. I can go and see the click event, okay, on main home control that is doing raise event of packages. Okay, so I just handled the click event in Angular without defining anything in Angular and handling it in Magic, okay, automatically, just by the fact that I give this Magic directive. So I connected this control to Magic, and from that moment, everything that I can do in Magic, I can actually implement in the Magic logic and by receiving it from the desktop, from the browser. We can look at the B packages. You see the B packages is the same. Actually, in Magic, it's defined as a button. Okay, remember, this is a hyperlink button. Okay, but in Angular, it's just a tag. Okay, but an a tag know how to get the click. Okay, has the H reference, and then I connect it to the Magic directive. Okay, and that's it. So any click on the packages here will take me into my packages. Okay. Now let's go down a little bit and look at our subform. As we can see here, this detail is already coming from another task under the subform. Now in Magic, I can see this subform is being called from the packages, that is doing the raise event of packages, that is going to the manager, that is at the end of the day calling the travel request with this destination. This is the option, as we do, by the way, in RIA and in online, to call a program within a specific subform on the screen, and this goes together what we mentioned before with the single page application. Now I'm calling to this area this program. Now let's go to this program and see what this program is telling us. Now this program now already is running on a main table and doing a few links. Okay, has a little bit of logic. And when I go into the screen, I see just declaration of the controls. And again, and if I'll go into my my documents outline, I'll see that I have the image, the plus image, and then I have a table with one column and a set of controls within these columns. For instance, I have the delete, and I have the images and the text, etc. Now, if I'll go into my Angular project, okay, where this is my travel request, again, I have my TypeScript file that is connecting it to Magic, and then I have my HTML file. And inside this HTML file, I can see everything that is connected to Magic. So, for instance, the idea that this one is actually card wrapper, that instead of seeing lines as a table as we used in Magic, now I'm seeing cards, okay? But again, as we did an amazing decoupling between the UI and the business logic, okay, then I don't care how it looks, I just need the functionality. The functionality is a list of items, just as a list of records. Now, inside of it, I have my add a card, okay, and my other cards. You can see that this is different from other cards, but it's still looking nice in the same place and in the same order. When I click on it, I have a handler from within Magic that says that this part is not implemented, but it's definitely going into Magic. Now, this is actually a non-existing record within Magic. I do not need to have this record in my database. There is no reason to have an empty record. I just want to have an empty card. So how do I define it in my HTML? I can take here and create this card, okay, this mat card on its own. Inside of it, I put a button that is connected to the Magic directive of image. Again, remember, in Magic, it's an image. In the HTML, it's a button. No problem, it can work. The only thing that I need is the click. The minute that I get a click event on the add plus image, I'm going back to the flow of Magic, and if I'll go on the click event on add plus image, I see the raise event of add request. So again, amazing decouple between UI and logic. Now I'm going to the block of my list. Now, this is the Angular way of saying loop. ng4, now, what is it looping on? It's looping on task.record.list. This is actually our data view, okay? Anything that you'll do in your data view in Magic will come into place. If you create a new record, you'll see it in the Angular once you refresh. If you delete a record, if you filter range or whatever, anything that we know and love from the Magic ranging and the managing data view will come into effect in this place, including recompute and everything else. Now, inside of it, I'm again going into the cards, and putting everything inside my matte card. Okay, so you can see now, for instance, I'll take the label of the description text, which is this one, visit to Israel, contract signing in Bangkok. This is coming per record, as we know. Okay, this is different for each record. This is why now we're adding another input here, which is row.rowID. This one is actually representing the specific row between the loop. This is the way I can actually go to a specific value in a specific record within inside of Magic. Now look at this beautiful thing. I have my sub-menu here and my edit that is taking me to a different screen. If I look inside Magic, I'll see again in my document outline that I have my B-edit that is raising a user event of edit packages. It's in the same column, it's in the same level as my text, as my images, etc. Okay, but in my Angular project, I see it under a sub-menu. Again, the amazing decoupling between the UI and the business logic. What I have here is another class of menu wrapper that is doing the menu, the matte icon button of more Vart. This is actually what causing it to be those 3 dots. And inside I have a button with the magic directive of B-edit. Okay, so I don't care how many layers down I put it. At the end of the day, it's connected to the magic directive, the magic control. It's passing the row ID. This way, I know that if I click edit here, I go into the trip in Jerusalem, to the contract sign in Bangkok. And if I click here, I'll go to Los Angeles trip. Okay, so each record or each event will be handled for the relevant record. Another things that small things that I would like to share with you in this short session. For instance, it will be that. Look at the images that we have here. In this trip, I have flight information, hotel and restaurants. Here I have only flight and restaurants. Here I have only flights and cars. Okay. Now look at it. That here they are all layout very nice, one next to the other. Where we all know that if I need to do it in RIA or in full client in Magic, I will need to work very hard to have this layout. But in the world of browser, Angular, this is totally different and much, much easier. Sorry. If I'll go to the car image, okay, this is the hotel. This is the car image. Now the car image is getting the raw ID, the value is getting from the card image get value. This is the class that I gave, but I have here style display. Style display, I get mg.getVisible for car image for this raw ID. Okay. Now what will this do? This will actually go to the Magic Engine and say, hey, what is the value of car image in visible? Okay, and obviously in visible we have an expression. This expression is the link success to this specific record in the record data view, and then it's coming into place. Okay, so I don't need to work hard to write a complicated JavaScript or TypeScript code to calculate this one. I don't need to go to the server manually or anything like that. I get these services from within Magic with all the amazing things that Magic can do, but how it's being presented on the screen, it's already the designer decision. And this is the amazing stuff here. And again, recompute, everything will come into place. Everything that we know and love from within Magic will be relevant here. Okay, so when we look at what we have in our properties here, you can see that we remove a lot of the Magic properties that has to do with how it looks, with presentation. So you don't have any more fonts, you don't have any more colors, you don't have any more style, border, or all of that. It's not relevant for the web. This you will define as a web designer, okay, in the HTML part. But anything that you need an expression for, you can put either on those that we decided to keep as expression, or with another nice feature that we added, which is the custom properties. In the custom properties, you can actually declare and create any tag connected to a magic expression and get his return value in the client side. And again, all recompute will come into place. So for instance, if you have an expression on color today, what you would like to do is to create a tag here, to put the tag of, for instance, color, put only the logical part of the expression, and make the decision of what class to use in the HTML based on the result of this expression. Simply working with something like ngIf, which is the basic way of doing a if condition inside of an Angular code. So that was a quick part of our presentation and of our way of coding in the new platform. There is tons of features there, and it's a full new world that we're stepping into. We are only at the beginning of this world, but I can definitely say that we managed to shatter the wall that was blocking between us, Magician, and the web, and now we are actually can start playing in this new world. We know for ourselves that we have tons of other things that we want to add there. It's only version 4.0. We will have tons of new features. We will try to deliver them as fast as we can. But we definitely shattered and broke the wall that stopped us from the web, and now we need to move forward. Now, in order to move forward, there is definitely the issue of migration. I'll pass the control now to Oded to talk a little bit more about the migration path and the challenges of migration.
Hi guys, I don't know if you know me, but I was working for Magic as the VP R&D from 2008 until 2013, and now I joined back to this it's a new product and this very fascinating new approach of Magic that actually will open the world for us. And the big question will be now migration. One thing I would like to emphasize, Yuval, on your presentation and when you went through the code, is that guys, you need to understand that Magic is generating the code for you. So all the ngIf and the directives that you saw, you don't need to type them. Magic will generate that for you. And as the time goes by, you will, as the more experienced you will become, you will know these generated code by heart, and you can actually use it if you want in other places, but it is generated for you. Okay, so now let's go take a look at the migration path. The main question will be, okay, if I have a client-server application, what do I do? If I have a RIA application, what do I do? As we all understand, it's a totally different paradigm. And when in RIA and client-server, we had full control on the screens, and whatever we designed in our IDE, in the form editor, was rendered exactly the same on the client side. Now it is different. So what we try to do is, if we talk about client server, the first step will be to move the client server into RIA. This itself holds a lot of challenges because the paradigm is a little bit different. But yet again, a lot of the code can be reused, whether we're talking about batch processes and whether we talk about handlers logic and so on. So a lot of the code can be reused, but we need to understand that we need to move the program, the task tree, from a client server into RIA style development paradigm. And from that point, we have to take the RIA into the web using the converter that Yuval mentioned before. Now, it might sound easy, but we all know that there are challenges over here, and some of the code might not be relevant anymore. For example, if you have code that is dealing with fonts and colors, windowing is something that you need to consider now, because if until now we were all used to have windows. You remember you all know about the famous F5 opening the Zoom, opening a new window, and from that window you can open a new window and another window, and escape brings you back to the other window, and so on. And you can move windows as you like. When we talk about SPA, single page application, the way you think, the way you design the screens, the way you lay out the data is different, and this is a shift in mindset that we need to we must do in order to move from a client server or RIA application to an SPA application or web-based application. Of course, we will provide how-tos and code analysis, tell you where to focus in your application. Another thing that you need to consider is about, as you know, Magic is providing you other repositories rather than the data and the programs. One of them is the menu. Okay, so the question is, okay, how do I do my menu? In this case, Magic will not provide you anymore the facilities of the menu. I know that most applications don't really use it, and they prefer to have their own menu and framework where the application is residing in. Here again, we will try to provide a framework that will include your ability to define a dynamic menu and login and routing, which is something which is related to Angular, and you need to understand how routing is working. Again, as an application, not as part of the deliverables that the Magic product is delivering, but as an application that you can look into, maybe decide to use it and maybe not. We are establishing a delivery team in India for this purpose, to support you, to help you, and if you need, maybe also to do some work for you together when you would like to take your application to the web, or maybe expose part of the application to the web. This, of course, can be done in a migration style work or from scratch. But the delivery team in India will provide the knowledge, the support, the consultancy, and any other services that you would like to use from Magic. Definitely, of course, we do prefer that all the developers will be independent and will run smoothly with this new product. And of course, we will work with the partners to provide any services. The idea here is to create an ecosystem that will work together and contribute to one another, so that the knowledge, which is now it's a huge knowledge to grasp, and it's a new area for everybody, and so the exchange of knowledge will be smoother between the partners and Magic and so on. So this is the idea about the migration path. We can assure you that if you take an Angular developer and ask him to develop an application with, let's say, with the common utilities that we have today, like whatever backend technologies such as .NET or Java, and on the front end they will use Angular. Today, with the product of version 4, you will be much faster, your code will be much cleaner, and your productivity will be, of course, much higher. So this is regarding the migration path.
Okay. We'll soon go into the session of Q&A, but I'll try to refer to a few issues that I know all of you are interested about, and we'll talk about them before even the Q&A. So, business model. The idea that we're looking to deliver here is really to be a very simple licensing mechanism as far as go to license per server, okay, and or in some cases per site, depending on the customer. But we're not going to count users anymore, okay? We're not going to count threads or something like that. We're going to count servers. to simplify your deployment and your calculation, and also our calculation. We are going to build, or we are building, an attractive pricing model. The idea is really, obviously, we still need to charge for runtime. We still are doing our business by your using our technology, but we want to make sure that it is affordable and achievable for everybody. We are finalizing those days, really, the latest version, and all of you can get in touch somewhere next week with your local representative and start getting information about the pricing. As I mentioned, runtime was always a pain for all of us as using Magic when I was an MSP, but it's something that is necessary for all of us, by the way. And the idea is to really make it something that makes sense from business-wise to the two sides. Let's talk a little bit about training. As Oded mentioned, I think it's very important to understand here now, guys, we're stepping into a new world, okay? I do apologize, Magic cannot cover everything in this new world from out of the box, as Magic used to do 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. When I started with Magic in version 3, I didn't know anything else about computer. I just knew Magic. I opened Magic, I did everything for Magic. I didn't know database, I didn't know printers, I didn't know IO, no nothing, okay? But let me give you a quick flash. The world has just got much, much more complicated, okay? We cannot cover everything from within one platform. That means that you will need to start learning new things like Angular, like web, okay? I do not expect a Magic developer that has no knowledge about web design, CSS, HTML, or Angular to be able to develop a full end-to-end Angular application that is based on the Magic technology. We are looking to actually give you the option of splitting the work between two teams. We will allow, and it will be easy to develop the Magic part and then give it away to a designer or to an HTML that knows how to do CSS and HTML in a nice way, and for this team to finish the work, okay? You don't need to work in parallel in two places. You can work from two sides and meet in the middle and deliver an amazing solution. But in order to have an end solution that is fully Angular, web-based, responsive, looks amazing, you will need to learn and to know this technology, or to have this skill set in your organization. Now, we are putting up a website, which will be a new web developer website. The idea of this website is really to be a resource for all of us. Slowly, we'll even allow you guys to add information there and to put your knowledge, but it's going to be a developer website. Tons of how-tos, a lot of demos, samples, code snippet. You can run it on the web, you can download the resource. Our idea is really to share all the knowledge that we have and all the knowledge that we can get from external resources. We'll put the commentation first on the website. This is what I call website first. Any new things, any new feature, probably you'll see it first on the website before you'll get it in the help file of Magic, which is being distributed with the server or with the studio, okay? So slowly, this will be our source of information. Another thing is that we're planning to do, and will be a little bit dependent on the different territories, but the idea is to provide some kind of a half a day's hands-on, either through the web or on-site in different branches, that you guys can come, install the prerequisite in advance, do maybe some training that we'll share with you in advance, and then come to this half a day of a session and see that you can actually work with the Magic Web, and you are kind of up and running and everything is clear, and you can just now start exploring the world. In the last year, we worked with an Angular guru here in Israel, and his name is Eyal Vardi. He's really the top Angular person in Israel. He gave us a lot of knowledge, and what we did now, we built training seminars that he is doing. It's not ours, He is now offering in Israel, and we are looking to actually offer this around the world, a training of a seminar of 4 days that you come to a place doing 4 full days of training, hands-on, learning Angular for magician. In the future, we'll try and also have it available as a web training, but at the moment it's a frontal training, and it's supposed to give you the basic knowledge of Angular and how it's smoothly flow with Magic technology. So now we're coming to the interesting part. We're going to start an open session of Q&A. Okay. This session, you can put questions in text. Oded will monitor. We already have a few questions that were asked. I don't answer them, but we will do follow up on those questions. We'll go again, read the questions out loud, and give the answer. So, Oded, please.
Okay, guys, can you hear me? Mute.
I'm just muting this part.
Yeah. Okay, the first part was okay, this webinar is recorded and will be published. So if you missed anything and you would like to go through it again, then you can do that. Licensing model.
Let's mute you. And,
okay.
So use my computer.
Licensing model, we discussed that, and we will come with a clear licensing model. We can assure you that, as Yuval mentioned, it will be affordable, and we are going to remove the limits, meaning that if until now you tried to calculate how many threads you need and so on, this will no longer be a part of the license. The license will be within its scope. It will be unlimited, so you will be able to use the product as you need, without calculating threads all the time. Next question: can we use directly version? I hope that I understand the question correctly, but I will repeat it. Can we use directly version 3.3 Magic Code with web application developed in version 4? Well, if you have a version 3.3, whether it is client server or RIA application, and you plan to continue to use it, stay with 3.3, you can expose part of the applications by having a parallel version 4 application working on the same database. But if you want to mix code of 3.3 into version 4, this is not the practice, as Ivan mentioned, because we are continuing to support version 3.3. So if you work on client server / RIA, you should stay on version 3.3, because please do not expect us to do fixes in version 4 in a quick cycle for client server / RIA issues that you might have. So in case we are talking about client server / RIA, you stay in version 3.3. In case you want to expose or migrate, then you install in parallel version 4 and work on the same database. Version 4, we will focus, as we said, on a fast release cycle, on web features and bug fixing only. Okay. Of course, everything that it is fixed for version 3.3 in the context of client server and RIA will also be fixed in version 4. But the release cycle will be determined by the issues and feature set that we would like to provide for web. This is very important to understand. There is no benefit for you to move to version 4 if you stay on client server and RIA, at least not for now. Will the slides be available at the end?
We'll have the webinar, but we can also,
if someone needs the slide, you can contact us. Can the Magic Debugger step through the JavaScript code as well?
Now, let's really talk a little bit about debugging. Now, debugging in the web application, actually, in a way, it's a bit easier because you can work with the Chrome tools, okay? And then you have really step-by-step and everything that is being done in the client. So a combination between the Magic Debugger on the server side and the Chrome DevTools can give you the best solution. So anything of the Java part you can follow there. We also have on the Magic client side, we have a log of the client side that anything that we do there, you can see. We are working to improve this part to actually incorporate the Magic client side logs into the dev tools of Chrome, but this is not in the first release, and this should even make life better. But if you are experienced with debugging JavaScript on a Chrome environment with the DevTools, again, as I mentioned, we are a standard Angular application. You can do it as well on a Magic code.
Okay, the next question. Can we convert online program to web program using any tool provided by Magic? Well, we do not provide such a tool, but we do cooperate with third parties that have such capabilities. But guys, please understand, converting an online program, if it is very simple, straightforward, then maybe, you know, it's just a matter of changing the task type. And we did see programs like that you could actually take from client server, move it to RIA, and then move it to web without any effort. But we all know that, you know, the reality is more complicated and programs are much more complicated. So we do not provide a utility moving online to RIA and then to web automatically, because not all the logic can be converted 100%, and we cannot provide something which is not 100%. But there are some third parties utility that are in the market that can provide you to a certain percent of, I don't know, 70% automatic migration and so on, that can save some of the time while migrating. We are trying to cooperate and to provide a solution for that. If someone will choose to do that through Magic or directly, it's up to you. Does the Magic developer need basic knowledge of AngularJS framework? Please refrain. I mean, AngularJS is the first Angular version, we call it. I think Angular version 2. Now we are working on Angular, or version 1 was it? We are working on Angular version 6. Okay, so use Angular 6 and not AngularJS. AngularJS was the nickname of Angular version 1. And the answer is yes. I mean, you do need to know basic understanding of Angular, but this can be achieved by going through the tour of heroes that it is the self-training in Angular website that takes you a few hours and you understand the basics and the concept of Angular. If you want to be stronger in Angular, it's up to you. But I can tell you that using the Magic functionality and the strength of the let's say the backend plus client-side activities as well, you will be able to provide a very, very complicated application with basic knowledge in Angular. But I do not mention the design. Design is a different world that you need to decide which library you would like to use and what kind of widgets you would like to use and how you would like to lay out the application and so on. This is a different world. That what we can do, I mean, the world is moving towards HTML. No new application is being written as you know, as a client server. Everybody is moving to the web. And even today, when you look for an application, you know that it must be on the web. And so the answer is yes, you cannot ignore the Angular. You need to know the layout of an Angular project. You need to know some CLI, some commands that how to build the project, how to update a project, how to run a project, and so on. But as I said, basic knowledge is good enough. And next question: how to test your code? Now we can just do F7. Yes, you can do F7. It's not the straightforward F7 that you know from client server or RIA. You need to do some actions before because you need to run the Angular server before. But yes, we did provide a capability that you will be able to run an F7 when the Angular server is running. Is GigaSpace available? Yes, GigaSpace is part of our architecture, regardless whether you're running RIA or web client. It's part of it. You can decide whether to use the GigaSpaces or the broker. Both of them are available for the dispatching of the requests. Guys, by the way, if a question was asked and my answer is not clear or I did not cover all the aspects of your question, please continue and write another question. Will you upload any tutorial on Magic with Angular integration in YouTube later on? We are planning to do that on our website. We will have a developer website. We might use YouTube for that as well. But anyway, it will be fully published and open for you, so you can use that. Is there any specific Angular version supported? Version 6. This is what we use. We are using version 6 because remember that your Angular project is including the engines that Yuval mentioned. Is there out-of-the-box support for JSON like we have for XML in Magic?
Okay, JSON, to put like a JSON data resources we have for XML, it's on our table regardless, by the way, to the web client. It's not really connected to the web client. We know that we need to edit it just in the to-do list, and we will edit it. It might be even, by the way, in version 3.3. As I mentioned, it's not really connected to the web development. We do not need, or you as a developer, you don't need to have JSON resources for working in the web client. We are working with our communication protocol. Okay, so there is no need for the JSON. But we know that we need to add the JSON support in Magic XPA regardless.
Okay, another question. I've developed browser task type application. How can we migrate it to the new browser client application? Okay, a bit tricky, but I think that part of the work is already done for you because you're already in the RIA paradigm or in the browser client paradigm. So the logic and the transaction and everything is set for you. The only thing you need to do is it's a bit tricky because I don't know exactly the details of your application, but you will have to change the task type to be a web client and not a browser client, and then you will have to draw your controls again on the IDE on the form editor, and then generate the HTML into the Angular project, and then you will have a fully workable task. Now the question is whether you would like to take the design that you have already in the browser client and apply it in the Angular, or maybe apply a new design. It's up to you. But the main work that you will have to do will be on the design area rather than the logic or any bindings and events and so on. How easy it is to integrate existing Angular components with Magic? As easy as it can be. Your Angular project is not limited to Magic. You can put whatever Angular components / modules, other Angular components, module services that you have, and incorporate them into the Magic project. We have no limitation here. But of course, in order to do that, you need to have the knowledge of Angular. Can we reuse the business logic we build for the Angular pages for an external web service? Let's say we have a page with a list of customers. Can we reuse the same HTTP request, get all customers for a web service? No, because our protocol is an internal protocol which is also compressed and encrypted. So you cannot really use that as a web services. In order to enhance the performance, we are compressing everything, and everything that goes through the web we try to optimize that. So it is not, it was not meant to be reused by an external web services. And also remember that we have also context information that we keep inside. So it's not that simple. It's not like a context-less requests. Is any easy way to convert online batch programs to web client RIA programs? I think I mentioned that before. Third-party utilities, or you can do it by yourself. I mean, you can go to an online program and move it to a RIA or a web client. Some of the logic will be, you will get an alert on that. Some of the logic will be moved away, will be removed. As we mentioned regarding fonts and colors, you can start doing F8 and start running it. It is possible to do it manually. There are, as I said, tools in the market that also do that. And you can choose whether you would like to use this service. Remember that client-server paradigm is different than RIA, so some of the logics must be rewritten.
I'll just emphasize on the migration for that. We know it's a challenge. Our vision is to enable it in as easy as we can. We cannot write an automatic process that will do it. There will never be a 100% automatic process that can do that. Okay, we are trying to work with third parties, as we mentioned, to make it accessible for you guys. We'll talk about, or you can talk with your local representative about pricing in this matter. But the idea, and again, our internal decision, that it's the idea behind migration is not to go and make as much money as we can from migration project. We don't want to do migration project. We just want to enable you guys to migrate. And we will do everything that we can that is realistically from our side to help you on that path. And we'll keep on doing from version to version, and we'll release documentation and maybe tools, etc. But there is nothing today at the market that you can say, hey, just run this and you'll have a web client application.
Okay, we have a lot of questions, so we need to do it quickly, and it's keep on going. But it's good. Do you support pagination loading during scrolling? The answer is yes. When you generate a screen through Magic and you generate the component in Angular in the HTML, we're using Material Design Library, which has a table control, a very sophisticated table control with full support of pagination, sorting, and everything you already know in tables.
Oh, but I'll just emphasize again here, we have the pagination, we have the records in page, we have the chunk size as well. That means that you can define in Magic what is the chunk size that will come from the server to the client, which is not relevant to the page, the pagination. You have all the different options to support and control, and you can just download. We already tested with an application with a 200,000 records table. You just click and you see the information.
Okay, 2 questions about licensing. I'm having 3.3 RIA license for version 4 is separate license, have to be purchased. And another question, 41 divided by 5,000, I don't know what it means. How much will it cost a server license? Okay. First of all, technically, you will need, it's a separate license. It's not a RIA license, it's a web license. It's technically, so you need in terms of license file, it's a different feature in the license file. Regarding business guys, as we said, we will publish that and you will contact your local branch and they will give you the prices, whether they will compensate you on the RIA client. It's a business question that you will have to do with your local representative. Mohammed, you're asking me, can you please suggest, and I'm not sure I understand, suggest what? So please write the full question and I will get into that. Next question from Paul Moritz. How about the development cycle, Magic, Angular, Magic? Will I lose the changes made in Angular? Okay, it's a good question. And let's take a look at the process. You have, you just started a new application in Magic, let's say one program with a table and some buttons, okay? The first thing that you do, you have an option in the Magic Studio to generate the project. Keep in mind, generate the project, okay? So Magic is generating the full Angular project for you, the full Angular project, okay? You don't need to do anything in Angular. And then you have an Angular project with whatever one program that you might have in the application, okay? And then you go into the application, into the program, you go into the program, you change something in the tables, in the buttons, and then you have the option to generate the component, meaning generate the form, okay? It's not the full application, only the form. So you generate the form and you have full functionality and the form is working. You can run it through Angular, communicating to the Magic, and everything is working fine for you. But the only thing now you need to do is to design, because the let's say the basic design that Magic is providing you is nice, but it's not good enough, and you want to design it. So you need to go and change the HTMLs and maybe add some CSS and so on. So the pages that are in the Angular are already changed. So now you go to the Magic and you want to add some logic. If you only add logic, you don't need to regenerate anything. Everything will be okay for you. But if you're going now to play with your screen, okay, then you have a dilemma. Okay, how do I do that? Because if I regenerate it from Magic, it will overwrite what I did already in the Angular side, and I will lose all my changes. So if the change is a huge change, meaning you didn't have a table before, now you have a table and a subform and so on, it will be better for you to regenerate. One thing. Another option, and then do the design. If you take a right design approach, your design shouldn't be more than applying a class to a control. If you design your design work correctly using CSS and you don't play around, then it should be very, very straightforward and simple to design your screen. Now, another option is when you are in the Magic Studio and you're right-clicking on a control, you can have an option of generating an HTML. And you can right-click on that and generate an HTML, and it will show you on the screen on the Studio of Magic. It will show you the HTML that it would generate if you would choose to generate the whole screen. So what you can do is just copy paste this specific control. Assuming you're adding a new control, you can copy that into the HTML, and that's it. The binding is already there. Now there are two approaches. One is generating through Magic and do the design, and the other approach is develop an Angular project and just learn how to do the bindings to Magic. Both approaches need some experience and some, let's say, standards of how you do the work, but it is possible. So if you work correctly, you will not lose the changes. We can talk more about this question, I'm sure, but guys, we have a lot of questions ahead of us, so I have to go and move forward. Okay. Hi, the migration will, Steve Copetti, hi, the migration will convert also the Magic form part in TypeScript? Yes, the answer is yes. Functionality-wise, yes. Of course, you will have to work on the design. MD Maiden, guys, when you, I don't know, and also 3.3 under AMC, if you, MD Maiden, if you can write the full question, it will be helpful because I don't remember what was the first part of the question. I developed my application by using Magic XPA 3.2a. Is this application will work if again OpenWorks same application in Magic XPA 4? Yes, but as we said, we do not recommend. If you are staying, if your application is client server / RIA, stay with version 3, 3.2, 3.3. Don't move to version 4 for now. There is no reason for that because we are focusing in version 4 only on web deployments. Impact new Angular version on Magic Code. I'm not sure what is the question.
Okay. This is related also already to Angular backwards compatibility. There is no impact on the Magic Code. That means that I mean we are standard Angular code. In major version, if they'll jump from 6 to 7, there might be. We are keep on testing it, and we are trying. For instance, as you can see, we are already in version 6, and we did not start it in version 6. I think we started in Angular version 4. Okay, and then we moved to 5, and then we moved to 6, and now there is 6.1 already, and we will move very fast in the next few weeks to 6.1. etc. So we are running forward with the code and checking ourselves, and if there is need, we're doing fixes. But the idea is that really there should be within Angular backwards compatibility, so there is no need for you guys to go and change your code. Okay. Now, once you go into the world of Angular, you'll start learning about the dependencies between a project, and you'll see the concept of working with the dependencies. And the beauty there that you can have an application that is dependent on an older version, and it will work. There is no problem. And anytime that you'll install it, will take the older version from the repository, etc. So it's quite easy to implement it at the end. At the beginning, it's a little bit complicated maybe to understand, but after a day or two that you're getting yourself familiar with this concept of dependencies and package versions, etc., you start feeling more comfortable.
Next question from Piotr. I understand convert from online to web is a problem. No, it's not a problem. It's just a challenge that you need to go from online to RIA and from RIA to web. But from RIA to web is easy to do. Of course, it will save you a lot because the paradigm is the same. But keep in mind that things that you used to do in RIA, like windowing, when you move to single page application, you have to work on that as well. If you had expressions on colors and fonts, then you need to work on that as well. But again, the path will be shorter for you if you are already in RIA. That's for sure. And how about changing project in Magic after deploying it into Angular? How does it look? New export to Angular and maintaining things in Angular once again. Sorry for obvious question. I think, Mr. Kuba, I think that I've answered that. It depends on the way you work. And also, as I said, if you did a lot of work on the Angular side, at the end of the day, we only need to do the binding. We are minimizing the way we interact between the HTML pages of the Angular and the Magic engine. The main thing is the binding. If you have the Magic directive over there with the name of the control, it is good. In most cases, it's good enough for Magic. So as I said before, I gave the example. You can copy paste from the studio the control code and put it in your pages.
Guys, just to be very clear, you can write a full project without generating anything from within Magic. Okay, you can write a full Angular project connected to the Magic project without running the generator tool once. Okay. It just be in some places more complicated, but this is the vision that you can develop from the two sides, two separate teams, and make it work together. Okay, so there is nothing mandatory in the generator.
Okay, there is a question regarding a TFS. If the project is under version control like TFS, then whether converted Angular code is also under version control automatically, or we need to take care of that externally. You have to take care of that externally because this is an Angular project. What can we do? Ray encryption, Mr. Eric. You need to explain to me what kind of encryption you are referring to. So please write your question in more details. Another question, Andreas, again to 3.3 and 4. We use RIA application and we'd like to move to 4. Can this be done with one-time conversion and then do all changes in 4? We understand the limits in updates.
I don't know if you're going to stay with the RIA, you can stay with the RIA in 3. If you need it to work combined, you can think about migrating. But I think we can take this one offline, yes. And we'll start. By the way, we are starting already to get in touch with each and every one of you directly, and there is specific scenarios, specific projects, closed deadlines that you need to meet with web development. Please let us know, and we will do anything that we can in order to deliver you the most help that we can in order to help you resolve. Yeah. Now, guys, I don't think we'll have the chance to answer all the questions. We might.
Yeah, that's right. I will try to do it quick. Currently, we use Crystal Report. Does it support in Angular version? You have to check with Crystal. I'm sure that they have web capabilities that you can embed into your application. We have 3,000 programs, and this will take time. Yes, it will take time. There's no doubt. But then again, you have to maybe clean or maybe see what is really needed and so on. But yeah, I mean, the bigger the application, the work that it is needed. But if you try to take this 3,000 program logic and try to write from scratch an Angular project with some kind of a backend, which is not Magic, it will be in multiplications much longer.
If there is a real need to migrate, talk to us and we'll find the best way together.
Yeah. When is JSON going to be supported in XPA 3.3? I think you've all mentioned that. Developer need to be strong on which technologies. Okay, they need to know basic Angular. They need to be familiar with HTML and CSS and some JavaScript. These are the technologies that they need to know. Source control with VSS. Yes, source control with VSS is possible, of course. And is it possible to integrate another backend technology, e.g. Node.js, PHP, Java with business logic into the same project? Yes, the answer is yes. You can embed, the Angular project is not limited only to Magic. It can approach any other services as well. And you can have your own components which are not communicating with Magic. How can we deploy the new web client? Does it require to invoke the ECF file or specific to URL will be required? You need to build the application in Angular. This is a process that you need to know how to do it in Angular, very simple. And on the Magic side, the deployment is the same as RIA. For more information, I suggest that you contact us privately because we try to reply to all the answers, all the questions, sorry. Could you say something about reports?
Reports is the same concept as we have in RIA. It's creating a PDF report on the server and exposing it to the client. No problem. It's the same as you do in mobile or in RIA working.
Yeah. Is .NET Core support in XPA4? If you're talking about .NET Core on the server side, the answer is yes. On the client side, of course not. Remember that you're moving to HTML, to web. .NET is not a web technology. Could you please suggest, again, Muhammad, please suggest what? The Angular part of the application code is open and readable, I assume. How to protect it? And now we have ECF. Well, how to protect it? I mean, when you do build of an Angular project, it compiles all your project into JavaScript and HTML, which are very, very, of course, they are text, and they are readable, but they are very, very complicated. And I don't think it is, something that you can somehow decipher. But if you go even today to any website, go to Gmail, do right click and try to understand what's going on, I think it will be very difficult for you. So, but everything is the same.
But here again, two things. We have to remember when we're going into the browser, it's very hard to protect in the browser because you can do open source and go to DevTools of Chrome and you can see everything. But keep in mind that when you're working with Magic, okay, your logic actually is inside of Magic. It's not running in the client. Your Angular code is actually just the presentation, how it looks. So right. Business logic should not be in your code. It's actually implemented inside of Magic. So this is another benefits that you get from working with Magic. We actually give better security as far as that.
Okay. Question from Fabrizio. How about complex Magic HTML merge application? Okay for the presentation, but even the logic should be developed from scratch. Yeah, well, HTML merge is contextless and you don't use events over there, but you do have batches. So batches definitely can be reused. And regarding the other things, yes, I mean, it's a different paradigm. So some work will need it to be done over there. Is there any trial download over there? Yeah, you will have it in few days, even today, probably, ready for you to be downloaded. Question from Andy Maiden. Is XPA4 capable of making client-server application, or it is? No, it's capable, but as I said, we are not focusing on this functionality in version 4 right now. So if you're working client-server, stay with 3.3. You will get the fixes over there and so on. You will get versions over there. And if you will start working with version 4 for client-server and you will have an issue, we will not be able to provide you in a timely manner a fix because we are focusing on web only for version 4. But of course, version 4 down the road, of course, will support everything version 3.3 is supporting. Thanks, Guy. Great presentation. Thank you, New Zealand. Thanks for the time. Thank you, guys. Or do we really have to have two versions to have both CS and web application? Yes. For now, yes. At the end of the day, you will not need that. It will be combined into one version. But now, when you work on the web, please concentrate on the web with version 4 and do not mix your operating or production client server with the web. And so for now, yes. Why should I stay with RIA when there is a web client? This is a question. I think that the web client, the moving to the web is something that everybody is looking into. And I mean, if the RIA solution that you provide is good enough for you, you can stay with it and then slowly move to the web client. It's a business question that you need to.
If you're looking at from the philosophy point of view, yeah, we anticipate that most of the features that you have in RIA or needs you'll do in the web development or the web client. RIA, of course, has some other benefits like working offline, like working with local resources, etc., that you don't have in the web client. Okay, so if you don't have those special needs, you can definitely think about your next project, for instance, do it in a web client.
But it's a strategy question. Does the generated Angular application take care of client-side validation? Yes, the answer is yes. We're taking care of also client-side activities, validations, and so on. And there is a request, a webinar focusing on the migration process. Definitely, we will take that into consideration. But you're also welcome, Mr. Arjan Visser. So you're also welcome to communicate to us directly, and we can look into your application and what are the options that we have. Good. I think we ran through all the questions.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. That was great. I mean, I really enjoy your enthusiasm and all the questions. So we are very excited. We have a lot of new feature coming in. This morning we already started to talk about the next release and the tons of stories that we have for next release, and tons will come, and we'll get ideas from you guys. So be in touch with us. Be in touch with the local. We'll also, again, the website, we'll send all of you the link to the website in the next few days. And we want to hear your input. We are very excited about this new release, and we are very excited to get your feedback.
Thank you very much, guys. And remember, we established here a SWAT team and also the team in India. So we are here to assist you because there is a lot of knowledge to to collect and to share. And we are here for for this reason, to assist you. So feel welcome. Feel free to contact us and to get any consultancy advice of how you can move your application forward. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.